Can you CANI? Yes, you can. On today's episode,
you are listening to the Champion Hustle podcast. Play to succeed in business and in life. Featuring Levi Hunsaker and Ryan Black.
Hello and welcome to the Champion Hustle podcast. This is episode number 57. My name is Ryan Black.
And my name is Levi Hunsaker.
Sometimes you may wonder why we're laughing when we're getting started. That's because things are happening behind the scenes.
Yep, that's for sure. I can't figure out what's happening with my window this morning. All right. Oh man, we're having a good time this morning. But today's episode, well, before we get into today's episode, Levi, screwed up last week, and we announced that we were going to be talking about property management, deciding whether you should do it yourself or hire. Well, that was a couple of weeks ago. I just had something wrong in my notes, and that's what I said, but it's wrong. Today, we're actually going to be talking about CANI. But before we get into it today is the last week of our birthday month, Ryan.
Yep. And then we're just old and wrinkled, and nobody's going to give us any presents.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I guess we're 1 year old. So that means we're starting to learn how to walk, right?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we're doing the butt scoot.
Yeah, waddling a little bit, something like that.
Yeah,
but it's the last chance, the last opportunity for you to make the social media post talking about why you enjoy the podcast and what benefit you get out of it. Make sure to tag us, either us personally or the show, so that we can, so that'd be at Champion Hustle, at Ryan Black REI, or at Levi Hunsaker REI, so that we can make sure we add you into the raffle so you get some free merch.
That's right. So get that in there, because in August, we're going to be announcing the winners of the raffle.
Yep. So it's been fun. It's been a good month. And we look forward to doing more fun things like that in the future as the opportunities arise.
Okay. So CANI, what the heck does that mean? Some of you might be familiar with this. I'll be honest, I was actually not familiar with this when Ryan brought up the topic that he wanted to do for this episode. And so I've been doing a little bit of learning and research. So what does it mean, Ryan?
Oh, I don't know either. Hold on. Let me Google that now. CANI is an acronym and from Tony Robbins, and it stands for the public speaker and lifestyle coach, business coach that I think most people know who Tony Robbins is. He's like the most well-known one in the world. So it's CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. CANI is it's a mindset. I guess you could say it's a philosophy, but it's a mindset of exactly what it says: constant and never-ending improvement. Rather than sitting on your laurels and saying, okay, yeah, well, I've reached it, I'm done. It's a way of looking at all different areas of your life to say, how every single day, how can I improve? How can I become better? How can I level up? How can I become greater today than I was yesterday?
Yeah, and this mindset, it's been a few months ago. So my wife was talking to somebody, and she mentioned that we were, constantly learning, constantly leveling up and learning new things, and just doing trainings and mindset and personal development and leveling up our business skills and all these kinds of things. And the response she got back was, "Oh, that sounds exhausting." And I just look at it this way: if you hit a point where you're like, "Yep, I don't need to improve anymore. I'm good where I'm at," you achieved your dream, and then you're just going to stay there because that is the dream. And if you're not constantly working towards something else, honestly, I think you've lost your ability to dream. And I've been there for the better part of a decade. After I finished college, I buried myself in work. I immersed myself in work. My wife even calls me a workaholic. And I just figured, hey, you know what? I've made it. I reached the goal. I did what I needed to do. And that doesn't mean that I wasn't improving, but there got to a point where it was just all about work and nothing else. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things suffered because of that. And honestly, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. The dream, I kind of lost that ability to dream because I was just complacent. I was okay where I was at. And, if you aren't constantly looking at where you can improve, I think it's because you have either reached the dream and haven't created a new one, or you're just not focused on the dream.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did that make sense? Was that coherent, Ryan?
I think so. No, I get where you're coming from. Yeah. I totally understand it, because CANI, complacency, you is a word you brought up. I think a challenge that a lot of people face, especially in the US, is they're very comfortable. They're very comfortable. Yeah. And I mean, I know I've done a ton of international traveling. I know you have as well. And when we go to other areas of the globe, other cultures, other socioeconomic demographics, you start to really realize that people have it really nice in the US. Even people who are considered, poor or lower class or broke or whatever term you want to use, they still have it really nice. Relatively speaking, right? Relatively speaking. And so that it's very easy to fall into that trap of complacency. Whether I think it's much easier to fall into that trap when you're in the upper echelon as far as income and lifestyle and things like that. But I've seen it with people even who hardly make anything. And they're like, well, I got a roof over my head. I got food on the table. I've got, a cell phone, a smartphone. I've got, a big screen TV. I'm set. What else do I need? And so I'm not saying that was the situation you were in, but I understand that principle of like the biggest enemy of being great, or the biggest obstacle to becoming great, is being good. And when we're comfortable and we're good because we've reached our goals and we've said, hey, I've got the things that I want, I'm able to do what I want to do, that's when we slow down because we're not hungry. And when we slow down, that's when those dreams start to fade, the complacency sets in, and the mindset of CANI of saying, okay, I got to continue improving, continue moving forward, seems like a lot of work. Well, why would I want to keep doing that? Why would I want to keep hustling? I've already reached the summit. I'm already at the top of the mountain. And while as you go on your personal life journey, there are going to be different milestones that you hit. There will be adjustments to be made. And I can attest to that. That's my wife and I had a rather in-depth discussion about that a couple of months ago, where we said, because CANI is something that drives both of us, we're like, when is it going to stop? Like, at what point is enough? Because otherwise we're going to continue to, simply just drive. And so what we found is CANI is something that's ongoing and ever going, but there are levels, right? You can scale things back. Yeah. When you're just getting, I'll use money as an example. If you are making, $50,000 a year, the level of CANI and level of hustle that you are going to need to exude and put forward is going to be to be able to level up is going to be a heck of a lot more versus if you're making 10 times that. Because there is a point of diminishing returns, right? When it comes to finances, when it comes to running a business, you want to have things covered. You want to be able to have the lifestyle and the luxuries and, the the trips and everything that you want, whatever it is that's important to you. That's why you want to have money. But as your level goes up, the amount of time and effort you need to dedicate it does go down. Because if you just continue hustling, I mean, we've all seen those people that are multi-bazillionaires and they're miserable because they're constantly chasing the carrot, wanting more. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about that CANI is, while it sounds really simple, it's like, constant, never-ending improvement. Keep getting better. It's deeper than that. It's more nuanced than that because you do need to, as Levi said, you need to define what your goals are. What is it what are your dreams? What are your goals? And then, once you hit that goal, it's not like, oh, I've arrived, I'm done. Now I don't have to do anything else. Yeehaw. Like, that's not how it works. You can then modify and say, okay, well, I would like to, maybe increase my income by X amount every year, smaller baby steps, something that maintains you at that current level, continues to bump you up a little bit, but that doesn't consume your life. Because it's important to have that balance. Because if you're only CANI-ing, if you're only focused on CANI in one area of your life,
it's a new verb.
and you're disregarding the others, you're not going to have balance, and you're still going to be equally as frustrated.
So I don't really love the term balance when it comes to life and lifestyle, but there is a give and take. At different times, other things will shift priority, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the way that it needs to be, because you can only really focus on one thing at a time anyway. So the idea of multitasking, that's BS. It's just not possible, because you might be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, but you can't actually focus on more than one thing at a time. Your
right.
brain is just not equipped to it. And because you're basically putting filters in, and this idea of complacency, that's where I got, because I had pushed so long for so hard to reach the goal, graduate college, get a degree, and get, the job that I had been told was, that's the American dream, right?
Yeah, for
Go to school, get good grades, and graduate so you can get a good job. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy the technical aspects of the work that I do, but I have learned that when you hustle for yourself, you actually get to create a legacy more. Like, I can't will my job to my kids. It's not possible.
And if you could, they probably wouldn't appreciate that.
No, so I think it's a terrible idea. But can you have a business that creates a family legacy? Absolutely. Yeah. And so for a long time, because I got burned out, because I pushed so hard for so long, like I was trying to take massive action, massive efforts. And so for a long time, I just said, nope, I don't want to learn anything new. I'm not going to pick up another book. Like, I don't want to study anything new, because I just got burned out on it. Yeah. And so it's more about the constant, the focus. You can do just about anything hard for a short period of time, but to do that for a prolonged period of time, you're going to lose your willpower to do it long before it becomes a lifestyle.
And I like what you said about picking up a book. Another mindset shift that unfortunately most people have is they say, they see education as a destination, not as a lifestyle. And that's because, they say, okay, well, I went to elementary school and high school, and then they're kind of trained throughout, growing up that, well, once you go to college, you have to go to college. And then once you go to college and you graduate, then you're done. You have reached your goal. You have the degree, the diploma. Then, like you said, you go and get the job and then continue on in the system. So people in their mind, they're like, oh, I'm done. I've arrived at my destination. I don't have to learn anymore. And that is contradictory to CANI, right? For us,
right.
Education and learning is not a destination. It is a lifestyle. It's something that you do your entire life. Every single day, I am learning new things. I want to learn new things. Some of them have to do with business. Sometimes it has to do with health. Sometimes it has to do with recreation. We've recently, my family and I, we got back into camping, which we used to enjoy doing and haven't done for a long time. And we finally pulled the trigger and said, we're going to start camping again. And so we have. We've been loving that. So I'm learning a ton about all the new cool gadgets and tech and things that are available for that outdoor activity. And so it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just the principle of keeping your brain exercised and learning and stretching and moving on. It keeps you lucid, keeps you smart, keeps you sharp, but it also is important because that helps you to maintain that attitude or mindset of CANI, rather than just say, well, I got my degree or graduated from this place or that place or whatever, got my certification in whatever trade that you're practicing, and I'm done. No, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifetime endeavor that never stops.
Yeah, and I mean it's one of those things where, back to that conversation of, oh, that sounds exhausting.
Okay.
Because it's constant, you have to do it to a level that it doesn't become a burden, that it doesn't become a chore, that it's something that you actually enjoy doing. And the best way to figure out how to do that is ask yourself, how can I be consistent at this in a way that's enjoyable? And so a lot of people will say, well, I just have to push and learn this really hard. Well, instead, take a step back and say, okay, what could I be consistent at? What is the minimum level that I know today that I can be consistent at? And it's not about just like having these massive results or Herculean effort. It's about, what can I be consistent at? And I'm actually going to break this down here in a little bit. I've got a way that I like to look at this in terms of, it kind of brings in the compounding efforts and of investing, because, hey, we love investing, right?
Oh yeah.
And we love compounding efforts. The same thing happens with improvement and knowledge, compounding efforts. So the best way to look at it, though, that I have found, is to take a step back and say, what can I be consistent at? If that's for your business, hey, I'm going to make sure that I make one more phone call today or every day, just one. Doesn't have to be a massive effort, but it's something that you can do consistently, because that constant consistency, I think, is going to have way more impact in your business than a massive effort one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and your life,
absolutely.
we're going to talk about lots of different areas, but
yeah. Well, and the difference is, another important key difference is with, most folks who look at, when it comes to learning and education, obviously you study, what was your degree? Computer engineering, electrical engineering?
So computer and electrical engineering.
Okay. Computer and electrical. And so, obviously that people focus on a topic that they're passionate about, that they're interested in pursuing. But I know that there's a lot of maybe general courses or other classes that you have to take in order to get that degree or certification that maybe don't really interest you that much. And so that can make it sometimes a little bit frustrating or a little bit boresome to get there. It's like, well, I got to take this course because it's a required class for, whatever, to get to where I want to go. The difference is when you are focused on something that you truly are passionate about, outside of the realm of higher education, whether it's a hobby, whether it's just something that's important to you or something new that you want to learn, you're in the driver's seat and you control exactly what it is that you're going to be learning, the sources of where that information comes from. And so it's a lot easier to be committed and stay committed, because it's more, at least for me, I never did well in school. In fact, I got kicked out of college after a short period of time, because that way of learning didn't work for me. I loved learning, but that was not a format that was conducive to my style of learning. And so, everybody's a little bit different. It's just so different when you're pursuing something that you're interested in, that you are passionate about. It's not work. It doesn't feel hard. It's like, oh, this is awesome. I'm enjoying this because it's something that you're emotionally interested in, not just, feel like you're being forced to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the biggest thing about that is, why are you doing it? Right? If you're passionate about it, what are you going to do with all that information? What are you going to do with that improvement? Right? One of our mentors said, if knowledge was all you needed, why don't librarians drive Lamborghinis? Because it's not just knowledge. It's how are you going to apply it? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to improve the world around you, improve the community around you, improve the relationships around you by what you just learned? Because it's cool to gain knowledge. Awesome.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it? So think about, what is it that you are creating? And if you aren't clear on that's where that complacency, that dream, maybe you achieved the dream that you had all along. Well, it's time to get a new dream.
Yeah.
And think about that, level that up, and figure out what you're going to create next. Constantly be in that mode of creation, because that is how you can make the biggest lasting impact on the world around you.
Yeah. Yeah. And once again, when you hit those milestones and you reach those goals, and it is a sliding scale. You don't have to necessarily have the exact same level of hustle. Another good example is that of, health. If somebody's in a position where they're saying, you know what, I got an extra, let's say 150 pounds that I really ought to take off to get myself back into a position where, I'm going to have longevity and more energy and less, body aches and all these other, health issues that come from having too much weight on your body. And so if you're to that position where to make that change of that first 150 is going to require a lot more lifestyle changes and dietary changes and exercise changes and all that to get rid of that first 150. But then once you're in maintenance mode, it's really not as hard. It's simply maintaining. Maintaining anything is a lot easier than making the change. And so it really applies to any type of CANI. The initial big change is going to require more work, more hustle, more dedication, more commitment. Once you're in maintenance mode, or simply incremental improvement mode, where it's just more of a baby step, that's easy peasy compared to what you did to get to that point. So it really is not overwhelming, and it's not too much to bear. Oh, I don't hear you, Levi. You're muted.
Oh, my bad. I've got kids walking around upstairs, so I'm trying to keep the thumps off of the recording.
Oh, nice.
So oops. Now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, you talked about health and fitness. There's the 5 F's that we've learned about from our mentor, Ron Williams. And we've talked about him several times, and I have no idea why we haven't had him on the show yet.
I don't know.
Maybe we need to make that happen soon.
Yes, we do.
But he talks about, faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. So, faith, whatever that means to you, whether it's an organized religion, whether it's being spiritual, meditation, any of that kind of stuff, how can you improve that area of your life? And seriously, think about this as we're talking about it today, and actually come up with actionable steps. What is your very next step? What is one thing that you want to improve? And then think about what is the very next step on that. So it's not just about fluff. It's let's take action. So we're all about action. In our 7-day boot camp, actually, we talk about champion action time, because we think that it's important to learn something, but it's not just what you learn about. It's what you think about what you learn about, and then what you do with that. So So think about that. How can you improve your meditation, your spirituality, your faith? How can you improve that area? Family relationships is another big one. And this is, you've got parents, siblings, kids, a spouse potentially, a partner, any of this stuff, right? You have all of these relationships. Friends. What did you say? Friends?
Grandkids.
I
don't have any grandkids, but some of our listeners probably do.
We're going to call you Grandpappy Ryan now.
Yeah. Grandpappy Ryan. Back in my day.
Walked uphill both ways, 5 miles in the snow.
If that ain't CANI, I don't know what is.
But you have all of these relationships, and are you improving them? And honestly, I think if you're not improving something, there's no stagnation. It's either improving or getting worse.
Exactly. Agree 100%. Yeah.
So I mean, relationships, you can't just have this relationship that, you haven't talked to somebody for 20 years and you're like the best of friends. Like you don't even know what's gone on in their lives for the last 20 years if you haven't talked to them. But you might still be friends. It's just not the same level of relationship that you once had.
Yeah. Yep. Faith, family, fitness. Fitness is another F that's really, really valuable, really important. Because if you don't feel well, you can't do well.
Yeah.
And it's so important everyone has different fitness, health goals of where they want to be at, how they want to feel, how they want to look. It's a very personal decision, totally up to you. What's important is to define that and get rid of those limitations, figure out what you want to get to, and be committed to CANI and making it happen. Finances, we talk about that a lot. Business.
Yep. I mean, that's your business, right?
Yep. Your business. And then fun. Because, we've talked about sharpening the saw.
This is the one that a lot of people forget about, is the fun, the self-care, sharpening the saw, as Stephen Covey puts it. You need to take some time to rest and rejuvenate so that you can get back into it.
Right.
Okay. So I talked about this, the improvement scale a little earlier on, and we want to finish with this, because the constant part of this, if you were to take and just say, okay, here's where I'm at today, right now, and if I could get 1% better, just 1% better every single day, what do you think that works out to in a year, Ryan?
1% better in a day? Lots better after a year?
So every day you get 1% better. This is the compounding effect of improvement. Just like in an investment where you're earning interest, the compounding effect of interest over time.
Yeah.
Let's just say you got 1% better every single day.
After a year?
After a year.
Well, you'd be
it's okay. I've done the math if you don't want to try and do it.
Yeah. My brain, I slept in this morning. Come on, man. Give me a break.
That's right. So if you just did 1% better every single day than you did the day before, starting today, 365 days from now, that is a 37x improvement from where you were at. If you continue doing that for a second year, you're at a 1400x improvement. Ooh, Ryan took a snapshot of this. Okay. Fancy, man. All right. So you continue that. Year 3, 53,000 times better. All the way to year 4, 76,000 times. That's just 1% better. And you're like, okay, I can't even do 1% better every single day. That's just overwhelming to think about pushing that hard. Well, what happens if you did a 0.5% better? In 5 years, you still have an 8,900 times improvement from where you're at today. 5 years is not that long. Think about what you were doing 5 years ago. Yeah. And I bet you can't even remember half of what's happened in the last 5 years.
I don't even remember what happened yesterday.
Well, I can't remember what happened yesterday either. But if you look at it and you say, well, man, a 0.5% better, Man, I can't even do that. What about 0.05% better? Just a little bit better. Well, in a year, that's 1.2 times. In 5 years, that's 2.5 times difference from where you're at today in an improvement in whatever area that you're looking at. So here's the call to action for you guys. Think about the 5 F's: faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. Pick one thing and just say, you know what? What's my very next step? How do I get 0.05% better on that one thing? And do this in every single area of these 5 F's. Because if you will do that, you can get to that next point that you're looking for. And then as soon as you get to that point, think about that next one thing. Pick one thing at a time in each of these 5 areas and work on it. Consistently improve 1%, 0.05%, 0.01%, doesn't matter. Because if you are getting better, it's better than you were yesterday.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Levi. With that, we are going to wrap up this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it and hope you have a great week moving forward as you focus on your own personal CANI. Because can you CANI? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Once again, quick reminder, social media, last week to make that posting. So we look forward to getting your birthday wishes out there online. And next week, our topic is going to be how to run your business from home without losing your sanity.
Ooh, it's going to be good.
It's going to be a good one.
Yep. Have a great week, everybody.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Champion Hustle podcast. For more great content and to join our online community, visit us at championhustle.com.
I'm a human alarm. Watch out. I'm dangerous.
What is that?
I'm a human alarm. I'm dangerous. Oh, man. There's no hope for us.
No, probably not.